Hey guys, some of you might have saw or heard I was bitten by a juvenile timber rattler a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And we've learned a lot about what to do or what not to do, and we wanted to share it with you because there's a lot of things we learned that were very important that we might have looked up on or might have even messed up on. I was about like everybody else. I had no idea they can be so serious. So some of the things we learned is take the snake with you if you kill him. The doctors have, from what we understand, very specific antivenom they can give you, and if you don't have the snake, they might be scared to give you the proper antivenom for that snake. And even a picture could be misleading for them because they could think that you had a buddy send you a picture of a snake that they thought it was or whatever. So that's one thing. No tourniquet, you don't want to do that from what we understand from the doctors. We've heard from several people that talk to specialists and things that say the juvenile timber rattlers are more poisonous, things like that. We don't know if that's true or not, but we hear that a lot from people. Another thing we learned and thought about is to call ahead and see where antivenom is based on where you're headed. We did do that and looked up. Turns out the first hospital we went to did not have enough, so we had to move to another one. But the stuff's very expensive and a lot of hospitals don't keep it, and I think it only lasts a year, so very important to do. From what we've read, you've only got about 30 minutes before you start to have organ damage. So, you know, don't mess around, try to get there fast. I think that probably reflects on your a lengthy recovery time the longer you wait with muscle and tissue damage. Mine was pretty quick. I was back walking in a week and a half, still have some pain and some swelling, but another thing you might want to research if you get bit, to talk to a heart doctor. We heard from a heart surgeon that you almost 100% have heart muscle or some type of heart damage from a rattlesnake bite like that. I don't know if that means the timing from which you got to the hospital or not has a reflection on how bad that can be, but he recommended maybe getting up with a cardiologist sometimes in the next 6 to 12 months or so. Those are some things to keep in mind, and also think about in your yard. I've been bitten by a copperhead and a timber rattler both in my yard, two different houses, but both in my yard, which is pretty ironic as much time as I spend in the woods. But believe it or not, most of the people we talk to that know people that have been bitten, it was in their yard. You know, you're just not paying attention. You probably don't have snake boots on. You feel safe, so that's something to think about. Another thing we learned is helicopter insurance. I did not have to be airlifted, but when the hospital in the first place we went to ran out of antivenom, they wanted to fly me to another hospital. As it turns out, the chopper couldn't fly because of the wind, and it's a good thing they didn't, because as it turns out, a lot of health insurance providers do not cover the large portion of a helicopter ride. I think I'd heard it'd probably be 50 grand for where I was going, and you can buy, I found out, insurance for that for any type of helicopter ride, and it's only like $100 a year for your entire family. So that's something really good to look into. And another thing, there's very few rattlesnake bites in the country a year, believe it or not, especially in localized areas. So the doctors don't know as much about it as you would think they would. You know, no fault of theirs, they just hadn't had enough experience with it. So you need to be proactive on figuring out your own things to do to, you know, to figure out what to do. Do some research of your own and help the doctors help you. Y'all check out our YouTube for more details.